In Russia, civilians are allowed to drive tanks, have cats guarding world-famous art, and once classified beer as food. Add in lace underwear bans, vodka as wages, and ice baths in sub-zero temperatures, and one man fathered 87 children. Ready to be surprised? Let's dive into the strange and unique side of Russia. Russia has long had a unique relationship with alcohol. While it's a joke that Russians are made of 70% alcohol instead of water, the numbers once came dangerously close. Until 2011, beer in Russia wasn't even considered alcohol. It was legally classified as a food product. That changed under President Dmitry Medvedev, as the government began efforts to curb nationwide alcohol abuse. In the early 2000s, Russians consumed an average of 18 liters of pure alcohol per person each year. That's over 50 cans of beer per person. The results were deadly. Around 50,000 people pass away annually from alcohol-related causes. 1 in 4 Russian men died before reaching 55. For comparison, in the US, it's about 10%. In the UK, just 7%. The average life expectancy for Russian men was around 64 years. Vodka, the national drink, is present at nearly every occasion, happy or sad. In the economic chaos of the 1990s, some schools and institutions even paid workers in vodka due to inflation and shortages. Thankfully, things have improved. By 2018, average alcohol consumption dropped to 10.3 liters per year, thanks to tighter laws and public health campaigns. Still, the country's complex history with alcohol remains one of its most surprising traits. But if you think Russia's relationship with alcohol is unusual, wait until you hear about the man who fathered more children than some villages have people. Russia is known for its vastness in both geography and occasionally family size. One of the most astonishing records in history comes from a Russian peasant named Fyodor Vasilyev, who lived in the 18th century in the town of Shuya, in the Ivanovo region. According to historical records sent to the Moscow government, Fyodor's first wife, whose name was never officially recorded, gave birth to a staggering 69 children. This included 16 pairs of twins, 7 sets of triplets, and 4 sets of quadruplets, all over a span of about 40 years. Even more surprising, after her passing, Fyodor had 18 more children with his second wife, bringing his total number of offspring to 87. Many of the children reportedly survived infancy, which was rare at the time. If even a fraction of those children had their own families, a reunion wouldn't just fill a house, it could fill an entire village square. It's a story so extraordinary, it still baffles researchers today. And it's yet another way Russia continues to leave the world amazed. Speaking of surprises, did you know some of Russia's most loyal workers are covered in fur and have 4 legs? In Russia, even cats hold jobs that leave the rest of the world in awe. Far beyond being pampered pets, cats in Russia have earned a reputation as respected workers, even aboard ships. For centuries, cats were essential on naval vessels, especially for controlling rats. Russian sailors believed these cats brought good fortune and could even sense bad weather approaching. To this day, some Navy crews still keep cats on board as part of maritime tradition. But the most famous feline workforce in Russia lives on land, at the Hermitage Museum in St. Petersburg. This world-class museum, located inside the historic Winter Palace, is home to around 70 cats. Their job? To protect over 3 million artworks from rodents. This tradition began with Peter the Great, who brought a large cat from the Netherlands to his wooden winter palace. His daughter, Empress Elizabeth Petrovna, saw how effective cats were at keeping mice away and officially declared them royal protectors of the palace. Since then, the Hermitage has continued this legacy. The cats are well fed, have veterinary care, and even draw global media attention, so much so that the museum staff joke about needing a press secretary just for them. Still curious about what life looks like in Russia? Let's head to a place so cold, even your breath freezes midair. Oymyakon, a remote village in Russia's Sakha Republic, is known as the coldest permanently inhabited place on Earth. Located in a valley along the Indigirka River, about 30 kilometers from Tomter, Oymyakon hit a record low of -67.7 degrees Celsius, or -89.9 degrees Fahrenheit, on February 6, 1933. The lowest confirmed temperature in the Northern Hemisphere. Surrounded by mountains, the village traps cold air, creating temperature inversions where mountaintops are warmer than the valley. Winters last from September to April, with average January temperatures often below -50 degrees. Despite this, about 500 people live here. Homes are built on stilts to prevent melting the permafrost. Cars are often left running to avoid engine freeze. Water must be hauled by hand since plumbing systems freeze in the extreme cold. Farming isn't an option, so diets rely on reindeer and horse meat for warmth and energy. Even burials require fires to thaw the frozen ground. This lifestyle has been captured by photographer Amos Chappell, whose work shows the harsh beauty of life in one of the world's most unforgiving climates, a place where human resilience defies the cold. Now, what happens when military-grade vehicles meet everyday drivers? In Russia, that's not just a fantasy, it's a hobby. Before we continue, I have a special 10-second request for all of you listening. If you can help me in any way, just press the notification bell and hit that subscribe button. It means the world. It really supports this channel. And if you do that for me, I promise my team and I will do everything we can to make this show even better for you. Deal? In certain parts of Russia, it's not unusual to see what looks like a tank driving down the street. And no, it's not a military exercise. Russia, holding the largest tank fleet in the world with more than 12,000 units, also allows demilitarized military vehicles to be sold to civilians. Once decommissioned and cleared by authorities, these machines can be legally owned and even modified for everyday use. So if you happen to see an armored vehicle in a parking lot or cruising along a rural road, don't be alarmed. It's probably a civilian-owned vehicle, often used for off-roading, fishing, or expedition travel. One popular example is the Bardym-2, a Soviet-era amphibious reconnaissance vehicle. Today, Russian engineering firms convert these into fishing lodges on wheels, mobile offices, or rugged expedition campers. The civilian version of a Bardym-2 typically costs around 2 million rubles, or approximately $22,000. While it won't fire rockets anymore, it'll definitely turn heads. Next, let's talk about a law that might make you rethink what you pack for your trip to Russia. In Russia, and also in Belarus and Kazakhstan, mesh and lace underwear made from synthetic fabrics is officially banned from import and sale. This regulation has been in effect since July 1, 2014, following a decision driven by public health concerns. According to textile safety standards enforced in these countries, any underwear sold must meet a minimum moisture absorption rate of 6%. However, most synthetic fabrics used in lace and mesh lingerie only absorb around 3 to 3.6%, which falls short of that benchmark. The Russian medical community has long voiced concerns about synthetic undergarments, arguing that they can trap moisture, create poor ventilation, and potentially contribute to hygiene and skin issues. So why such a strict approach? Authorities say it's about protecting public health, not just policing fashion. And because the ban applies not only to manufacturers but also to foreign imports, you won't find these items legally sold in stores throughout the region. If you're planning a trip to Russia, Belarus, or Kazakhstan, it might be wise to pack cotton underwear instead. Bringing in lace or mesh lingerie could raise eyebrows at customs and possibly lead to delays or inspections at the airport. In a country where culture and regulation often take unexpected turns, Even your suitcase might need to follow the rules. What do you think? Should governments regulate what kind of underwear people wear for health reasons? Drop your opinion in the comments and tell us, is this smart or just strange? While in countries like Vietnam, temperatures between 10 to 15 degrees Celsius are enough to send people scrambling for thick sweaters and fur-lined jackets, things in Russia look quite different. When the thermometer dips below freezing, often around -5 to -10 degrees Celsius, that's when many Russians head outdoors for a swim. This practice is most famously observed on January 19th, during the Orthodox Epiphany celebration. Every year, thousands of people across Russia gather at frozen lakes and rivers to cut cross-shaped holes into the ice. Then, one by one, they lower themselves into the icy water, not for sport, but for something deeper. For many, it's a spiritual act. They believe the water, blessed by Orthodox priests, will cleanse the soul and protect their health throughout the coming year. Others join for the sheer thrill, a personal test of willpower and endurance. And yes, even tourists are welcome to join in, as long as safety guidelines are followed. Whether rooted in faith or driven by adrenaline, this tradition of cold water immersion has become one of Russia's most iconic winter rituals, and it continues to unite generations across the country in icy silence and collective breath. Now, from frozen lakes to city streets, here's why keeping your car clean in Russia isn't just a good habit, it's the law. In the Russian city of Chelyabinsk, if your vehicle is too dirty, especially if the license plate is unreadable, you can be fined approximately $22. But this isn't just about appearances. Authorities in Russia consider heavily soiled vehicles a hazard to public safety. Dirt-covered windshields or windows can reduce a driver's visibility, increasing the risk of accidents. That's why enforcement tends to be stricter in urban areas, where traffic density is high. On top of that, excessively dirty cars are also seen as contributing to urban environmental pollution. It's no surprise, then, that car wash stations in Russian cities, especially during winter and spring, are always busy. In fact, keeping a car clean has become such a routine that many people earn a steady income running mobile or fixed-location wash services. For some, it's more than a business. It's part of the culture of maintaining order on the roads. But what exactly counts as too dirty? A local Russian newspaper once ran a survey, and almost half of the respondents agreed, if you can't clearly read the license plate, then it's time for a wash. Ever heard of paying a tax just to keep your beard? In Russia, this wasn't a joke, it was royal policy. In the year 1698, Emperor Peter I, also known as Peter the Great, introduced a rather unusual policy. After returning from a diplomatic tour of Europe, he wanted to modernize Russian society to reflect Western customs. One of his targets? The traditional long beard. Peter observed that most Western European men were clean-shaven and saw beards as outdated and unrefined. As part of his sweeping reforms, he issued a beard tax, requiring men to pay a fee if they wished to keep their facial hair. The longer the beard, the higher the tax. Men who paid received a special token, a copper coin inscribed with the words, "The beard is a superfluous burden." Fast forward over 3 centuries, and although this tax is no longer enforced, the story lives on as one of Russia's most bizarre historical laws. Today, you won't find any modern agency collecting beard taxes, and facial hair is freely worn across the country. What if your country charged you for your hairstyle? Would you pay or protest? Tell us in the comments how much you would pay to keep your look. And would you ever carry a license for your beard? Don't forget to subscribe and follow the channel to discover more interesting things. While cities like Dubai are experimenting with flying taxis to beat traffic, Russia has taken a far more unconventional route, quite literally. In some of Russia's largest cities, where roads stretch up to 10 lanes wide, traffic congestion remains a daily struggle. But for the wealthy, there's a creative workaround: hiring a private ambulance to skip the gridlock. Using the emergency lane reserved for real ambulances and law enforcement, these private vehicles are rented out to drive clients through city traffic, sirens on, lights flashing around, and no speed limits to worry about. Though this practice is illegal, it has been spotted in Moscow, St. Petersburg, and other major cities. To make matters more complicated, some people even modify their personal cars to resemble ambulances, disguising them with decals and lights to access priority lanes. In response, Russian traffic police have occasionally launched random inspection campaigns to crack down on this abuse. Back in 2019, media reports and online ads revealed that some companies were offering so-called ambulance taxi services for roughly $65. While this may seem like something straight out of a movie, it highlights just how far some will go to avoid traffic, turning emergency vehicles into a status symbol on wheels. But beyond the cities lies a different world, where ancient Arctic traditions still whisper stories of community and survival. Chukotka, a remote Arctic region facing Alaska across the Bering Strait. This icy land is home to indigenous peoples like the Chukchi and Yupik, who have survived for centuries in one of the harshest environments on Earth. Among their many unique traditions, one stands out: a form of hospitality that might seem unusual to outsiders. Historically, in some Chukchi and Yupik communities, welcoming a guest could include offering the visitor food, shelter, and at times the companionship of a family member, even a wife. This wasn't about casual intimacy. It was a gesture of trust, respect, and social bonding in extremely isolated and interdependent societies. This practice was always voluntary and built on mutual consent. It was never universal, and over time it has mostly faded. However, early ethnographers who visited the region during the 19th and early 20th centuries documented it in their fieldwork. In these Arctic cultures, women play central and respected roles as providers, decision-makers, and community leaders. Traditional values emphasize cooperation over competition, and private life was seen as a personal matter, not for public judgment. Today, while most of these customs have evolved or disappeared, they offer a powerful look into how cultures adapt to extreme conditions. And once again, Russia surprises the world with the diversity of life at its vast and frozen edges. Finally, we descend underground, where Russia's metro stations don't just move people, they mesmerize them. While most subway systems around the world focus purely on function, Moscow's metro was designed to impress. Conceived in the 1930s under the direction of Joseph Stalin, it was built not just as public transport but as a palace for the people, showcasing the power and progress of the Soviet state. Today, this vision still shines through. Stations are decorated with marble columns, ornate chandeliers, hand-laid mosaics, and detailed sculptures, turning the daily commute into something closer to walking through a museum. Each station carries its own story. At Komsomolskaya, you'll find Baroque-style ceilings and mosaics celebrating Russian military victories. Meanwhile, Plощad Revolucji is lined with bronze sculptures honoring Soviet workers, from farmers and engineers to athletes and soldiers. These weren't just for beauty, they reinforced Soviet ideology in everyday life. But the system's brilliance wasn't only artistic. Many stations were built deep below ground, designed to function as bomb shelters in times of war, a strategic layer of protection woven into the city's fabric. Fast forward to 2025, and the Moscow Metro now includes over 300 stations, making it one of the largest and most efficient metro systems in the world. Tourists, historians, and architects alike continue to flock to its stations, not just to get from point A to point B, but to experience a journey through Russian history and design. If you enjoyed today's video, please give it a like and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Your support means a lot to us. Click on the video that appears on your screen right now. I hope you'll love this content. Comment below about the next topic you'd like to see featured on our channel. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next video. Thanks for being with us. Leave a comment, like to show your support, and remember to hit that subscribe button for more exciting videos. See you next time.